I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Oxnard City Council Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting for June 8th. This meeting is held pursuant to the State Emergency Services Act, the Governor's Emergency Declaration, and Governor's Executive Order N-29-20 to allow members of the City Council or staff to participate via teleconference. As a precautionary measure to help slow the spread of COVID-19, the City Council facilities are temporarily closed to the public. The public is encouraged to view the meetings from home on the city's website at oxnard.org/city-meetings, or Spectrum Channel 10, or Frontier Channel 35, or YouTube at youtube.com/Oxnard News. Video recordings are typically available online immediately following the meetings. Please see the link for the Measure M pre-recorded presentation video for each agenda item. Due to the city has filed pre-election and post-election lawsuits regarding the validity of Measure M, the judge has not yet ruled on the legal sufficiency of Measure M. The public may provide comments to the City Council via email at cityclerk@oxnard.org no later than 2 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Please identify the committee name, meeting date, and agenda item in the email subject line. The telephone option for public comments is also available at this time. Requests to speak must be submitted no later than 2 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Use the form on the city's website to submit your request at oxnard.org/city-meetings, or call the city clerk's office at 805-385-7803, or email your request to cityclerk@oxnard.org. Madam Clerk, can we take the roll and you give us the information of posting of the agenda? And Madam Clerk, can you lead us in the flag salute when it gets to that time, please?
Yes, Chair. Mayor Zaragoza.
Here.
Councilmember Lopez.
Here.
Chair Perillo.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted in the kiosk outside of council chambers on June 1st, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please stand for the salute of the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and life. Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda?
No, Chair, we do not have any public speakers for tonight's meeting.
Okay, thank you. Moving to the consent agenda, we have one item, the subject approval of minutes, the recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee approve the minutes for January 26, 2021 and February 9th, 2021 regular meetings as presented. First, I would like to thank the clerk for the corrections she's made on the January 26, 2021 meeting. Have the committee members have any problems or concerns on this item? Do we have a recommendation?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Zaragoza, a second by Lopez. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Yes.
Chair Perillo.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
thank you. And again, thank you for the corrections, Madam Clerk.
you,
Moving to D1 reports. Public Works Committee, subject Third Amendment to Agreement A-7974 with the County of Ventura Work Release Program. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute a Third Amendment to Agreement A-7974 with the County of Ventura to extend the term to July 18th, 2024 for the maintenance tasks in special projects. There is a presentation, but you had to view it pre-recorded and there was a website. And that is because of Measure M. Does the committee have any questions or concerns? And I believe I heard the clerk say that there were no public comments for tonight. Are there any on this item, Madam Clerk?
No public speakers, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Do committee members have any questions, concerns, or issues they'd like to raise on this matter?
Yeah,
Go.
Chair
Go.
Perrella, hoping maybe if the staff, either Mr. Beck or if there's another staff member who can just kind of explain, what is the work release program, just for, our public to have an understanding. And if there is a cap, or what are the limitations on the work that can be done under the work release program?
Thank you. And we have staff address the councilwoman's concern, please. Question.
Yes, thank you, Chair Perlo and council members. I can answer this question. Kevin Thompson, the Parks Manager. The work release program is vital to the work that we do here in the city. They will help multiple divisions throughout Public Works. They will help with landscape improvements. They will help with streets. They will be out cleaning trash. They'll help fill potholes. They will help with special districts. They really have a wide variety of tasks that they will do. I am not familiar with their restrictions. I'm sure there are some. I'm sure there would be safety restrictions for this groups. But for the main tasks that we use them for are those described.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I appreciate that. And this is, as you mentioned, this is a vital part of the work that we see out in the city. So with that, if there are no other questions or comments, Chair, I would like to move approval of this item.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'll second that, and I agree with staff, that the assistance here is great, for the potholes and alleyways and special landscaping. And one of the things I think that's important too is that there's no additional funding needed by using of those individuals, and that helps also the county and also the individuals that are on the workforce program, which is excellent program, has been used for many, many years. So I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I just would like to make a comment. Mr. Thompson, I do appreciate the presentation and the video presentation that was presented on this item. The question that Councilmember Lopez asked about any restrictions, can you possibly get back to her with a list? Because I know this has come up in the past with respect to the type of prisoners that are allowed to assist in the cleaning. Do we have serious, and I can tell you from years past, we were asked if there were any convicted sexual harassment, very working in neighborhoods or near schools. So if you can a list of who is allowed to be on these work crews, can you please get that back to Councilmember Lopez?
Absolutely.
Mr.
I sure will.
Okay, thank you very much. And I support this wholeheartedly. This is a great opportunity for people to work off time for actions that they shouldn't have done. And it's a terrific benefit for our city. Very cost effective. They do good work. It's first time I ever saw probation crews working, I was wondering what was going on. It was at River Park. And after seeing the work they've done throughout the city over numbers of years, it is a tremendous amount of work they do. I will share with my committee members. I have had a request by one of the individuals, Mr. Marvin Boo's suggestion that I think we might want to look into. The county at one time had asked Mr. Booz to take care of graffiti in county projects and county property, specifically drains. And there was a suggestion if we could trade work. This Mr. Booz volunteered to, if the paint and equipment were provided, take care of the graffiti, and the county would assist us with the probationary work. It's something that I'm passing on. Mr. Booz does a tremendous amount of work, and I think a suggestion and an idea worth considering. I don't know the answer, but I wanted to share that with my committee members and the staff. But on that, I support this wholeheartedly. If there are any comments from staff, I'm open. If not, Madam Clerk will take a vote. Are there any comments staff would like to make?
Mr.
Go ahead,
Chair.
Mayor. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, I'd like to
Yes.
say that I've had the opportunity to work with the Mark Varela from probation. And normally this individuals that are work for are individuals with minor offenses such as probably not having a driver's license or they're not felons and so forth. Additionally, I also had the opportunity to work with Marvin Booz when I was with the county, and the county will provide and does provide paint and brushes and so forth and et cetera, et cetera. And I think Marvin did a really, really good job for us in the county and also continued does a good job for the community. And I believe that those probation individuals could be an asset, for the community.
Thank you for that input. Thank you very much. Any more comments by staff or committee members? No. Okay, Madam Clerk, can we take a roll call, please?
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Perillo.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
thank you very much. The next item is Public Works Department. The subject, purchase order number 8093 from Famco Pipe and Supply Incorporated for water infrastructure parts and supplies. Excuse me. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute purchase order number 8093 with Famco Pipe and Supply Incorporated for water infrastructure parts and supplies in the amount not to exceed $550,000 for a one-year term with an option to extend for an additional year. There is a video presentation, but due to the restrictions with Measure M, it is not being presented at this meeting. It is available online. I don't see that we have any public comments. If I'm wrong, correct me, Madam Clerk. And do we have any questions by the committee members?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor.
I was looking again at the video and I just got to commend the water department for delivering 20 million gallons per day. I mean, of safe, reliable, potable water and supply to our customers. And I think that the public needs to be aware of how many millions of gallons are produced per day, and also to make sure that it's uninterrupted service and operations. To me, this is a health and safety issue, which I think is extremely important to all of us, that we have the proper equipment and infrastructure for the water department.
I agree.
Thank you.
Madam Lopez? Okay. I would just like, and I support this, I would just like to say when the mayor hit it right on the button, 20 million gallons of potable, that means drinking water, high quality water, suitable for human beings to drink. And ladies and gentlemen, when we go through our city, we see vending machines where people are putting money into the vending machines to buy the water. Years past, I've suggested possibly getting with the organizations that most know those people because they have lack of the trust of the drinking water. Somehow a message needs to be getting out. And I'll use the example. In the state of Minnesota, the Hmong people from, I believe it was Laos, could be Cambodia, but the Hmong people were brought in after the end of the Vietnam War. A lot of them located there. A lot of them were spending a lot of money for water. They didn't trust the water because where they came from, the local water was not fit to drink. A representative from that community eventually made a council in whatever city it was in Minnesota. The story was on National Public Radio. And it was amazing the difference it made in those people's financial well-being, them not having to buy water, and they could just take it out of the tap and know that it was safe. Sometimes I feel that our community maybe needs to reach out to possibly the Mexican consulate and somehow with the local radio stations, the heavily Spanish radio stations, and get that message across. Because the water is not inexpensive at these vending machines, and it is no better, and some may say not as good as the potable water that we produce 20 million gallons a day. And with that, I'd be happy to make the motion to support this item. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Madam Chair, unless there is any further comments, would you please take the roll?
Chair Perillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much, committee members. The next item is number 3, Public Works Department again. The subject, approve Caltrans project-specific maintenance agreement A8251, third amendment to agreement A8094 with WKE Incorporated, and first amendment to agreement A-8017 with the County of Ventura for the Rice Avenue at 5th Street State Route 34 grade separation project. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council, there's 3 recommendations in this item. Number 1, approve and authorize the mayor to execute agreement A-8251 between the State of California Department of Transportation and the City of Oxnard for roadway and bridge maintenance on Rice Avenue over State Route 34. Number 2, approve and authorize the mayor to execute a third amendment to WKE Incorporated Agreement A-8094 to increase the amount by 96,306. I'm sorry, beg your pardon. I'm sorry in the number. Excuse me. $96,316.76 for a new not to exceed contract value of $9,005,397.70 to complete the plan, specification, and estimate for project number 133101. And number 3, approve and authorize the mayor to execute a first amendment to the County of Ventura Agreement A-8017 to increase the amount by $154,962.26 for the new not to exceed contract value of $654,962. I beg your pardon, ladies and gentlemen, start that one. For a contract value not to exceed $654,962.26 to provide project management assistance associated with project 133101. There is a presentation available online, but the requirements because of Measure M, the pre-recorded presentation is not given tonight. I don't believe that we have public comments on this, and if I am wrong, please correct me, Madam Clerk. And do council members have any comments on this item?
Mr. Chair, I know this project has a tremendous amount of money, but what I think what staff is just asking is that we have the 154,000 and the other dollars to provide that project management assistance from the County of Ventura. And it's really, I know that sounds like a lot of money when you talk about the total amount, but the flyover is extremely important to us. And I think that the County of Ventura has the wherewithal to help us and assist us in the project management, if I'm correct on this item.
Madam Lopez, do you have any, Council Member Lopez, do you have any?
You're fine. Thank you, Chair. Yes, thank you, Ms. Arnaud, for the presentation. And I want to first, just in terms of the presentation, and I think, the report, I want to point out that it's really helpful and much more informative when we have, images and graphics to really get like the full picture of, what we're talking about. So I just want to commend you on that. And I know some of the other presentations that staff also provides. So I don't want to leave anyone else out, but I just wanted to mention that with your presentation. Can you clarify the maintenance? There's a difference between the responsibility of the maintenance under the bridge and above the bridge, but there's also a mention in the staff report on landscape, right? And one of the images in the presentation, shows the what is it called? The connector road. So what does the maintenance of the landscape, potential landscape in that portion? If you can explain that, if that is part of this proposal today.
So, Councilwoman Lopez, as far as the maintenance goes, that's actually mostly found within the county's right of way. So what we're saying, and at least for the city's portion, there's very little landscape to maintain. And so that will actually end up being the responsibility of the county, what you see in that image there.
Perfect. That answers my question. Thank you for that.
No problem.
I would just like to say the video presentation is tremendous. Again, Ms. Aaron, you do a great job. I agree totally with Councilwoman Lopez. When there's a picture, sometimes they say picture's 1,000 words, makes a big difference. And I agree with her also not sliding any. All the video presentations for the Public Works have been very well done. I appreciate them. Clear to understand every one of them. The two questions I have on this particular item, there is a video, there is a photographs of lights, and we've had issues with lights being destroyed or damaged along Oxnard Boulevard between Gonzales and say Colonial Road. And is there some way that if we do have lights that they can be somewhat protected so that people, knuckleheads don't knock out the lights or the light bulbs or break the glass? And the second is any landscaping that we are involved in, any of it this year, I hope that we do not put palm trees. They don't. So there's only my two comments. And if you could address it about the lights, and if it's not part of the deal, okay, but it's a concern to me that we spend a lot of money to get real nice lights and we get a knucklehead going through at night for the thrill of it to bust the lights, and we got to fix them.
Yes, council member, as you've noted, that is an issue that we run into quite frequently, and there's only so much you can do about that issue. There are, lights that are, foolproof in that sense, but it's something that we can definitely look into. And to answer your question about the palm trees, no, there are no palm trees anticipated for the landscaping in this area.
Thank you very much. And again, a very nice presentation. What is the pleasure of the committee?
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
I'll second.
Oh, go ahead, Chair. Fine.
I'll second at this time. Madam Clerk, motion by Zaragoza, second by Perrello. Can we take the roll, please?
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Perrello,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
The next item, again, Public Works, the subject, purchase order number 8098 with Ascent Packaging Incorporated. It's doing business as Ascent Wire Tie to supply and deliver bale wire to the Del Norte Regional Recycling and Transfer Station. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute purchase order number 8098 with Ascent Packaging Incorporated, a DBA doing Ascent Wire Tie in the amount not to exceed $375,000 for the supply and delivery of bale wire for a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2024. There again is a video presentation, but due to the restrictions of Measure M, it is not provided at this time, and it's available online. And I don't believe we have public comments on this. Are there any questions or concerns if there are no public comments by committee members?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Mayor.
I know that this is a required supply, for the Del Norte Regional Transfer Station. So I'd like to make a motion to approve if subject to other, comments.
Okay, I'll second that, and I do have a comment. I would like Mr. Housley, and whoever the speaker is on this, for the public that's not taking the time to look at these video presentations. It's unfortunate that a lot of people don't take the time to do that. Explain why the quality of wire is needed. Explain the number of people that were asked to submit bids, and explain the number of bales of recycled material that we as a city produce, the range. If you could address those two things, I think that would enlighten the public quite a bit. Please.
Yes, thank you, Chair Perrello. Todd Vasquez Housley, Environmental Resources Division Manager. The answer to your first question, the quality of the wire is required due to the distances we ship material. We have to be very careful about shipping quality material and making sure it stays quality all the way to the destination to prevent any claims being filed from our customers. And those claims are very difficult to manage when you're dealing with somebody 13,000 miles away, and it kind of turns into their word against ours. So we do our due diligence and use the right shipping materials. We sent this bid out to 24 companies in addition to the website where it was presented. Only one bidder, Accent Wire Tie, bid on this. That is not unusual. We did this 7 years ago. They were also the only bidder 7 years ago, and other organizations that run MRF facilities have a similar result. And again, it's due to having to have a minimum quality of the wire so the product stays intact while it's being stored and while it's being shipped. We produce between 25 and 30,000 bales of finished material per year at Del Norte, and that's all the material that we're using the baling wire for, and making sure that we don't get any problems or claims once we sell our product.
Thank you very much. I know that I've had a member of the public in the past ask me just how come we're spending so much money for wire just to wire up recyclables. And Mr. Housley's pretty much explained it. It's going a long way. If there's a problem, we're probably going to lose the argument because we're not there. We're not going to send somebody a long way to get in an argument about what was said. But I can tell you from serving on the Ventura Regional Sanitation District, where Harrison Industries recycles their material too, and there have been discussions about sometimes loads of recyclables being what they call knocked down, meaning discounted by the purchasers. We have not had that problem because the city of Oxnard is producing high quality recycled material, meaning clean. And it's a credit to the men and women that work there and the council and the public for, recycling. But once you have a clean, high quality product, you want to make sure it gets there and you can get top dollar for it when you sell it. Thank you, Mr. Housley, for that. Are there any other comments from members of the committee?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I can follow up on your questions,
Sure.
and thank you, Mr. Housley, for the presentation and the information. I'm not sure that any the general public would realize that recycled materials are traveling outside of the city, outside of the country. So are all the 25 or the 20 to 25,000 bales that you mentioned, what do those include, and do they all are they all transported? What are the other locations? Because I know you mentioned as far away as China. So what are other locations if that is information that could be disclosed?
Yes, Council Member Lopez, to your question, not all of them get shipped overseas. We do try our best to find local vendors. There are times when we have local vendors like New Indy Paper, which is in the city. They will bid on our cardboard, but more often than not, the metals and plastics will go to the Asian market. So I don't have a direct tally of what that ratio is, but in most cases, the distance going to be Asia. Some of it is local to California and in the United States.
Great, thank you. I think that's very helpful.
You're welcome.
Mr. Housley, if there is an opportunity, and if we do have the access to that ratio or tally, can you share that with Councilmember Lopez if it's rather easy to obtain later on? Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fade here. Has there already been a motion made on this?
Had a motion for Zaragoza to approve,
Okay,
and it was
All right.
second by Perello.
thank you. I don't know what's going on tonight. Okay, Madam Clerk, can we take the vote, please? And I apologize.
Yes, Chair. Chair Perello,
Yes,
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 5. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Public Works Department, subject agreement A-8339 and A-8340 and A-8341 and A-8342 with Mariposa Landscaping Incorporated for weekly park mowing services for citywide general fund parks. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute agreements with Mariposa Landscaping Incorporated for weekly mowing of the citywide general fund parks for a total amount of $2,405,000 for a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2024. Number 1, Agreement A-8339 with Mariposa Landscape Incorporated for a total amount of $475,000 in Region 1. And number 2, Agreement A-8340 with Mariposa Landscape Incorporated for a total amount of $430,000 in Region number 2. 3, Agreement A-8341 with Mariposa Landscape Incorporated for a total amount of $950,000 in Region 3. And 4, Agreement A-8342 with Mariposa Landscape for a total amount of $550,000 in Region 4. Again, ladies and gentlemen, there was a PowerPoint presentation, very good one. But due to Measure M pre-recorded, you cannot show it now. And I don't believe we have public comments on this. Are there any questions or concerns or recommendations on this item by the committee?
Mr. Chair, I
Go
just, yeah, if I could
Yes, go ahead.
make a comment. So, I mean, this, really, really glad to see this item, coming forward, and part of the restoring services that have been very much asked and needed in the community. And this is really good to see. So my hope and ask would just be from our staff, either Mr. Becker or through our city manager, if it would be possible to, I know that this is coming as an item here in the Public Works Committee and will go to the council, but not everyone will watch this meeting or view the council meeting, where we take the final vote. So I would, if I could ask that, if it's possible to share once a schedule is available, I think for our general public to see, hey, this is coming. We have, a schedule of maintenance as appropriate as might be within this agreement.
Mr. Beck, do you have any comment?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Councilmember Lopez, I just wanted to share that I wanted to commend the work of staff. So this kind of goes back to when council took the initiative to add a 3-month mowing period for park maintenance to kind of get that process rolling. At that time, we started to do the bid specification to identify work that would move forward, and with the committee's support and ultimately council's support, where there was investment in funding for additional park maintenance, for median maintenance, for tree work. We have successfully identified those bids, and with approval tonight, and this will go to council on, the plan is to go to council June 29th, and with the adoption of the budget and the adoption of these contracts, we anticipate being able to start that work in the month of July. We don't have a schedule yet, but we will certainly share that with you once we can get the contracts finalized. But the real good news is we'll be ready to hit the ground running in the very beginning of the next fiscal year with these services.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
Mr. Chair, I want to thank again our staff and also the priorities that we put together. The weekly mowing citywide is really going to help us tremendously. And I want to thank, the voters of that passed Measure E, the tax initiative in November. And this allows the city to reinvest in the Oxnard. And I'm just reading what the staff put together, which I think is really important. And of course, our city manager too. The Measure E allows the city to reinvest in Oxnard through community identified recovery and relief priorities, which include the identity of restoring landscape services and to keep our public areas safe and clean, which I think is extremely important. And our staff has already started. I'm getting staff members. I'm getting a lot of compliments from people how the parks are beginning to look now and restoring the mowing and the trimming and so forth. So I think this is really going to help us in the weekly mowing of our parks and to take care of and maintenance of not only our parks and also our mediums and et cetera. So I just want to commend our staff to where we're at so far.
Thank you. Mr. Beck, thank you very much for your answers and your response, Mr. Howlett, too. I just have one question. In the recommendation, and it's simply for clarification for the public watching this, it says for weekly mowing of the citywide general fund parks. There are some people that don't know the difference between a park, a general fund park, a CFD park, an LMD park. Is there someone who can explain that very quickly for the public? Just at least get it out there. We know we at least explain. We tried.
I'd be happy to, Chair Perello. So we have 36 general fund parks, and so these are funded out of our general fund tax dollars, whereas we have parks that are in our special districts, mostly in the CFDs. And these special districts parks are paid by the respective CFDs as part of their formation documents with the city.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is going to be a big improvement, in my opinion, for the city and the residents. I support this. Do we have a recommendation from any of the council members or committee members?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, we have a motion by Zaragoza, second by Lopez. Please take the roll.
Mayor Zaragoza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Perello.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much. Like staff, thank you very much, staff. The next item, Public Works. Again, subject agreement A-8324, A-8325, and A-8326 with Garcia Tree Maintenance Services Incorporated for the aerial tree pruning services for citywide arterial streets. The recommendations, and there are a 3-part recommendation, that the Public Works and Transportation Committee and the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute agreements with Garcia's Tree Maintenance Services Incorporated for tree grid pruning maintenance services, within citywide arterial streets for a total amount of $566,100 for a 1-year term ending June 30th, 2022. Number 1, agreement A-8324 with Garcia Tree Maintenance Services Incorporated for a total amount of $182,665 in Region 1. Number 2, agreement A-8325 with Garcia Tree Maintenance Services Incorporated for a total amount of $182,410 in Region 2. And number 3, agreement 8326 with Garcia Tree Maintenance Services Incorporated for a total amount of $201,025 in Region number 3. Again, ladies and gentlemen, there is a PowerPoint presentation, but due to the restrictions of Measure M, it is not shown at this time. I don't see that we have a public comment, but Madam Clerk, if we do, please correct me. And if not, do committee members have a comment, concern, or question?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, again,
Go ahead, Mayor.
again, this is part of the Measure E, and tree trimming maintenance is extremely important. I know that you and I and the Councilwoman also have a lot of concerns about tree maintenance. So this is really going to help us tremendously, not only in the arterial end of it, but restoring landscaping services is really important. And again, this is to keep our area safe and clean, and especially in parks, which I think a lot of those trees are covering the lights there in the parks. and also in the arterials, the limbs leaning over into the streets and so forth. But this is again part of our priorities, and it's excellent agreement. Just again, thank Measure E and our voters for passing Measure E. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yep. Go ahead, Ms. Madam Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I agree. Glad to see this coming forward. So I appreciate the work of the staff to, bring this for action. Just a point of clarification: we're specifically talking about trees, not palm trees. If that can be corrected, I just want to make sure.
I think palm
Thank
trees
you.
are around, but can I?
Thank
share
you,
something with
Councilmember Lopez. This is both deciduous trees and palm trees. So these are all the trees that are identified in the arterial streets throughout the city.
Can I, Mr. Chair, can I share something with you?
Go ahead, Mayor. Go ahead.
I think that Councilman Lopez has important, but the maintenance of the palm fronds and the palm trees are really important. I had my windshield shattered right there right in front of Lexus by a palm frond, so that I believe is really important that we take care of those palm fronds too, just for information.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Mr. Chair, and Mr. Howlett for answering that question, because I know palm trees have come up in recent conversations on the council. So they're really following us everywhere. Thank you for that.
Good point.
And I am working on an edict to ban palm trees.
And if I can just add, I am wholehearted agreement that we need to really look at the issue about palm trees, because they provide very little shade, and they do grow, and they get to a height where you need extremely specialized equipment to get up there. And as the mayor has pointed out, they can be dangerous. So, there's something to be benefited by another type of tree that would provide some sort of shade and a cooling because of concrete and asphalt, provide a cooling source for the city. I have only one question on this item, and I appreciate the PowerPoint presentation. Can we explain to the public who doesn't take the opportunity to look at the PowerPoint presentation or read the staff report, when we talk about the regions, we talk about Region 1, Region 2, Region 3. Are there more than 3 regions in the city that would be covered by any tree service, or are these the complete areas that would be covered by general funds for trimming the trees? And are they specific to, can we say like the south end, the north end, the east, the west, the end of the city by region?
Thank you, Chair Perello. Yes, staff was the ones who divided the city into 3 regions. We were looking at what would be the most economical and efficient way to grid prune the entire city through the arterial streets. And after working with our GIS team, we found that if we divided the city into the 3 regions, each region had an equal amount of trees to be grid pruned. And this would also allow us to put out 3 separate contracts, which allows us to have potentially 3 different contractors or 3 different crews working simultaneously in the 3 regions, which are north, central, and south. That way we don't have just one contractor working in the north first and working their way towards the south, and then we get the residents in the south wondering, why we started in the north. So, and then to go on to an earlier question that Councilmember Lopez brought up regarding the public outreach and informing the community, we recently hired a public information officer who's working with Katie Casey. She's actually, her office is in the Public Works Department on the 3rd floor, and we're going to be working closely with her to get this information out, not only with the mowing schedule, but with the grid pruning schedule, to let the residents know when and where this grid pruning is going to be happening, so they can, 1, know that their Measure E funds are being used, and 2, if they have to commute through traffic, where are these potential areas of work going to be?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
I think that Councilwoman Lopez mentioned a really good point, and also our staff, that we're going to be doing this concurrently, because this way everybody gets their fair share, and we're doing things at the same time and not doing just east, west, north, and south, but the whole city at the same time, which I think is excellent.
It sounds like very good common sense, and I think it's going to be very beneficial to the city. I did have it. I'll share with the committee. I did have an opportunity to meet with the public information person. I was cleaning Victoria Avenue with Marvin Booz and some individuals from Casa de Vida and some city crews that were there. And she came out and took some photographs and interviewed some people, and impressive young lady. And so I think it's going to go a long way, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And if I can just add this, there are other organizations, one of them, particularly Neighborhood Pride, they're willing to put the plugs for the city on the social media things that maybe my city doesn't get on that much. And if we just let them know where we are working, and say, they're working on point A, B, and C today, they could get there and that stuff would be out that night, and the photographs. And I believe it's good public relations to let the residents that do a lot more social media than I do see what's going on, and people that are helping the city of Oxnard. I think it's a good idea. The only question I had on this is for a clarification. And again, for those that don't watch or read the presentation, what is the definition of grid? It's quote, tree grid pruning. If somebody were to ask me right now, I might be a little hard pressed to come up, and I'd be winging it. Do we have a specific definition of tree grid pruning?
Yes, it's a practice of economy of scale. So as the name implies, you work in sections or grids at a time. So instead of chasing individual trees or individual species of trees throughout the city, we have 3 different teams going at the same time, working at 3 different grids simultaneously. So we can put that on social media and say, this section of street between these 2 streets will be grid pruned during this day. And we progress on through until all grids are fully covered.
I would bet a lot of money that will be very well received by the residents in this city. That's a very smart, common sense thing to do. Any other questions or comments by committee members?
Yep, Mr. Chair, I just,
Mayor,
again,
go ahead.
I just want to commend, the Public Works staff, the park staff. They're really doing a good job out there in cleaning our mediums and working throughout the city. So I just want to commend them for that, because in due time, the city's going to look great, even better than what it is now. But I just want to commend Public Works staff and the recreation and all the staff, that's working together, including our staff, administrative staff. They're doing an excellent job for us. Thank you.
Yes, they are. I'd like to add, Mayor, that the Neighborhood Pride, Marvin Booz and Mike Mercurio, the volunteers, the young ladies from the Mormon Church has been fantastic. Fantastic. The efforts that they put out, and the organization Casa de Vida, a lot of work, and even Mr. Bartello's got some people working. There are many other volunteers helping the city, but you're right. The city is looking a lot better.
And I commend them, because they're using a lot of the young individuals and so forth. So I commend them too. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And again, this is the kind of stuff when people are driving back and forth in the street and they notice, and all of a sudden I said, wow, this has really been cleaned up. They notice this. This is a big deal. Thank you very much. Do we have a recommendation from?
By the way, real quick, I just want to commend Councilwoman Lopez and myself. We're looking at Channel Islands and I know we talked to Joe Perez, and he's going to help us out on Channel Islands, right between Sea and Saviors. That needs a lot of work, so forming partnerships.
Okay. And again, I hope that the staff can touch base with some of the people from Neighborhood Pride and let them know, so they get some more pictures to help you guys. It's a team. Do we have a recommendation by committee on this?
I'll move approval. Thank you.
Second.
I'll second. Motion by Lopez, second by Perello. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Chair Perello,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Zaragoza.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is E, and it's items for future agendas. Does Councilmember Lopez have any items for future agendas? No. Mayor Lopez, I'm sorry, Mayor Zaragoza, do you have items for future agendas?
No, thank you.
Okay. I do have a request of the city manager, or the city manager. I've received some concerns about Mandalay CFD. Actually, it's called MAD4. And I'd like to get a review if there's any alternatives that could be recommended. The city manager get back to us with improvements. The recent concerns are very specific, and they have to do with Americans with Disability Act and access. And this gets to a pretty high point of concern. And I hope the city manager can get back to us. And if he has a comment or any, I'd appreciate it. Other than that, that's my only concern and suggestion for a future item.
Councilmember, Mr. Chair, I did see one of those complaints. So I think given the timing of the items coming to council, I'll provide an oral update at next week's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's fast. Thank you very much. With that, are there any final comments by city manager, attorney, or board members? None?
Yes, Chair Perello, Assistant City Attorney Paul Early. At the last meeting, you asked for an update on AB 1139 regarding rooftop solar.
Yes.
Just wanted to inform the committee that last Thursday, it was voted on and it was not approved. So it fell in a full vote of the assembly last Thursday, and it's currently on inactive status. It's up for a reconsideration. So I have an alert. If it ever comes back, I will let the committee know.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Early, I thank you very much for speaking up, because I had just asked a question about this, and I'm grateful that the city of Oxnard has staff that's paying attention to what's going on, all of the staff, and keeping us electeds on our toes. Thank you again, Mr. Early. And with that, thanks to all. Be safe. This COVID thing is still out there. And with that, good night.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.